Hello, everybody. It's 9:35 a.m. Central Time on the 21st of February, 2023, and many people are asking me to make a video about what I found over in South Florida, and I'm going to right now, but I just found something else in the last 30 seconds that I feel I need to show everybody because this ties in with what I found. Let me take you over to my Twitter page or to my YouTube community page and show you what I've been posting in case you're not aware. So really what we're talking about here is submerged structures that I found off the coast of Florida. And I'll show you a close-up view first. This rectangle in the middle is 3 miles, 5 miles, 3 miles, 5 miles. And going out from it, out each point, at least 4 sides. Now I have this flipped for easy viewing, I guess, but you can view this. This is the Florida Keys itself. Let me show you the next picture. Backing it out, you can see it even further. These are the Keys. Again, I have this facing south. This is north. This is south. I can turn it back around. We'll go do that in a second, but this is the structure in the middle that I'm talking about. That's 3 miles, 5 miles, 3 miles, 5 miles. Then going southwest, southeast, and south off of it are these that go out to another line that spreads out even further and goes east, because again, this is upside down, but I'll show you proper orientation in a second. Here's a far out view of it. Here's the Florida Keys going down to Key West down here. Again, we're looking at South Florida, where south is this way. Okay, now I'm going to show you something further that I found, but here it is in the middle, 3 by 5. I can't believe it. This is in the shape of an ancient bastion fort of some kind, or some kind of city. This goes out about 12 miles. The line goes out 12 miles and 20 miles all the way out to the edge out here where there's a third. It's like a spider web. This looks like Amsterdam, sort of, the shape of an ancient European city. I'm not exaggerating. This is really there, guys. This is really in the water in Florida Keys, just next to the Florida Keys. Most of these are all submerged. These are just the spots that have been imaged up above. Okay, now, this is what I've been posting. This is what I found. Then, I found this. And what I'm showing here, you can see on this side, and this, I have a zoom in on it. This is the map from St. Louis that I'm pulling these pictures from here that I was talking about with the Bastion Fort. And look what I found down in Florida. We'll compare that to this. It's right here. It's on the edge of this, which has this on the edge, which is one of these. And going back to the map, we'll back it out. We have a pentagonal one that's just like the one down in Florida. So we have this one, and this one. This is St. Louis, 1796 St. Louis, Missouri. But I'm showing it to you down in the swamps of Florida. All right. And that's where this led me into what I just found. That's absolutely phenomenal, which is why I'm making the video to record this now. Okay, let me show you the spot we're talking about. Here is Florida. We'll zoom in on it. Now, everybody's familiar with the famous dry tortugas, or maybe not everybody, but down here is the mysterious hexagonal fort, which we're told was built during the Civil War. But it has more of a Byzantinian look and Spanish look to it. And look how many bricks it is. This is a dry tortugas out in the middle of the ocean. There's no fresh water on these islands at all. It's a small little island. They built a fort there. Everybody's, again, talking about that is what they thought I was talking about. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this. Here it is. So here are the Keys. This is proper north now. So this thing is centered due north, magnetic north too. I mean, now that the Earth is slightly shifted magnetically. But yeah, I'm turning it, again, it is perfectly north, south, east, and west. Now, off the south side, the southeast side, the southwest side, the east side, the northwest side, the northeast side, and then back here is where I just found this. You can now see it 1, 2. You can see the side of this, and it goes to this. And here is the diamond shape that I'm showing you on the map here in St. Louis. Now, why does that matter? What I just found is much bigger, much, much bigger. You have to look far out to see this. But now that I've seen it, it's indisputable. First of all, facing due north again, take a look at the Google map, due north. And what I found here on the side with this in it is part of a larger complex. Look, I'm going to measure this to prove it to you. But here's the side of it. And I will get out the line measurement tool just to show you. I can't believe this is here. I cannot believe it. But it is. So, starting back here, do you see? I'm not pareidylian, guys. This is really here. This is really here. This is on the backside. I can't tell whether the wall goes back like this or like this, but it's certainly, this is coming off the inside, and then it is 100% going up to here, and then going up to here. And that's 1 mile, 1.2 miles this way. Now we're going to go 1.2 miles this way. Look. It comes down and goes back up to the second one. There's another one in here, which is right here. This is what I was talking about. This is not satellite imagery. These are dead trees. This is not a spillover from satellite. The satellite imagery is going this way, horizontally, so we can rule out satellite stitching right there. This is actually a line in the ground, and you can see a Y juncture there that drew my eye to it. Well, that Y juncture is just another 1.2 mile stretch. It's going right up the middle of this thing, whatever this is. Now, look, our satellite imagery cuts off right there, but you can still see inside of here. We'll take it right down through here. You can still see it in the next satellite pane. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about at least one giant star fort, if not two, that go into the swamps. It's hard to see. It's somewhat hard to see, but I mean, now that it's undeniable, it's there. This one for sure. And this is what drew my eye to it, was this. Now this is on the backside of our giant city that's down here. We just literally go north right up into this. Right here. Here it is. At least one of them. It looks like two of them, but it's cut off by satellite imagery on this side. So I'm just going to say for certain there's one of them, and it's right here. It is indisputable this is one of them. There's this inside of it. Why does this matter? Why does this shape matter with this inside of it? I'm going to take you back to the St. Louis map. There it is. There it is. And I'll take you over to St. Louis now to show you it again, just in case you don't know what I'm talking about. You can see it in the streets here, still in St. Louis. It's right here. And I'll trace it out for you in case you can't see it. It goes up to a pinnacle and comes back down. And they built the new, or the housing projects. They tore the streets up and built these housing projects across this side of it. But the rest of it, this is the new geospatial agency, the U.S. government's building right in the middle of it. And that is confirmed, this on the map of St. Louis. That is this. It's 100% confirmed. This is the downtown St. Louis area, north side of St. Louis. The map is centered north this way. This is the north side of St. Louis. This is the star fort in St. Louis that is this shape. And that's why this shape matters. Do you see it? Because now we're going to go all the way back down to Florida and show it to you embedded into the freaking swamps down here in South Florida. And I don't even need a, again, I can just triangulate it by the old city that was here. This is a city. It's 12 miles. This is 3 by 5 miles and 20 miles out in a web. Out from it, it goes back to this one here. And that's why this shape matters with this inside of it. So this is certainly there. It's really there. That's real. This is real. And the one next to it, it at least goes up to here and comes back down. That's not a natural shape. This is, I just showed it to you in St. Louis. But it's covered in the swamps. And it goes down to this old city that was here, or old fort, or whatever you're going to call it. Now, I'm going to turn it around the way that I think it's better viewed, which is this way. Because now you can, again, you can just see that it's square-like shape. It's a square within a square. It's missing one part over here, and that could arguably have been washed away over time. This is ancient. This is not from the Spanish or the French. Even though it's shaped in like a European city, we can find this shape like over in Amsterdam or any European city, really. But we can go over and let me see if I can find it in Amsterdam itself. It's shaped like a web. But Amsterdam's more circular shape like a web. I guess I need to... Amsterdam is a circular web. This is a rectangular web, if you will. That was close. Let me show you. See how it spans out in all directions? But again, now this is, of course, different because we're talking about a rectangle over in Florida and much more ancient. Much more ancient. This, some people are telling me they think I found Atlantis. I don't know, guys. I don't know anything about the legend of Atlantis or anything like that. All I know is that it's here in the Keys, whatever this is. 3 miles by 5 miles, and I will get out my line measurement tool just to prove it to everybody. We'll start. Which corner should we pick from? Obviously been weathered. I mean, here is 5 miles exactly from the middle of this key at the edge to the edge of the key where obviously it bends over to the west. That's it. 5 miles exactly to the center of each. Now we'll go over and we'll go from one key to the other. 2.953 miles right out to the edge of the key. 2.99999 miles. So 3 miles. And it's been weathered. Again, it's been hit by how many hurricanes, right? Then we go down here to what is obviously the weathered edge. And we'll go right down to the key. And it's 5 miles. And I mean right down to the edge of the key. And again, this has been weathered. But if we go to the center of the key right there, looks like it's obviously... This has been built in the past, guys. So it's 5, 5, 3, and 3. And I'll measure it back over. 5, 5, 3, and 3. I don't have to do it exactly. You see what I'm talking about here. I don't need to tell you this would have been weathered down over time. And if it's this ancient, again, one more time. A rectangle within... Now, you could say that this is more like a clover leaf or a flower-like shape. But, again, that's been weathered so far over time. But now that I found this in the swamps itself, and again, I don't even need a line measurement tool or anything to see it. I can tell you it's right here. Boom, 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 boom. Now, where else have we seen this shape with this in the middle, aside from the map? Let me show you one more example. All the way out here in California and Nevada. It's right here. Makes up... This is 300 miles long. This is the Grand Canyon blowing out the backside of it. This is one of 3 that go over to the east, and I'll show you the other 2 in a second, but this is the most pronounced one. It's in the exact same shape as the one I just showed you down in Florida, which is the old bastion fort shape that we see here. Now, there's a military base built right in the middle of this thing. Edwards Air Force Base, and they put an X marks the spot right in the middle. That's in the desert. Do you see that? Anyway, military base in the middle of it. On this side is Area 51 and our nuclear test sites. Let me see if I can find... Yeah, right here. Here are all of our nuke test sites. That's not an aerial bombing range. That's actually underground nuke sites. And there's Area 51, in case you don't know about it. But that's on the side, one side over here. And on the other side is 29 Palms Military Base and Bombing Range and Marine Training Base, and Yucca Flats, where they store all the nuke stuff. So on both sides we have nuke, and in the middle we launch our nuclear bombers from this thing. And you can't call it a bastion fort because it's 300 miles long, made of mountains itself. These are mountains and faults that make this thing up. It's ancient. It's huge. The military knows about it. They have a base in the middle of this and something on either side. Now going over to the east, there's a more weathered version. And that's this right here. You can barely see it, but it makes up all of Nevada and Utah. This is the Great Salt Lake on the back right side of this one. So we got the Grand Canyon on the back right side of this one. We have the Great Lakes on the back, or the Great Salt Lake on the back side of this one. I live out here in the close. Ambulances just drove here in the woods in the middle of nowhere. I can't believe it. We've never had an ambulance drive by in the entire time I've lived here. Again, I live in the woods in a closed subdivision in the middle of nowhere. Somebody, you've got to be kidding me. Okay, all right, let's recap. So up here in the middle tip, we've got our cell. I'm not editing this out. I'm leaving that in there. I don't know if you just heard that, but so right here we have the nuke bomber launch site at Edwards Air Force Base. We've got the nuke storage site on this side, and over here we've got the nuke bombing range on this side. Up here at the pinnacle tip of this, we have Hawthorne Military Base and Storage Depot. All these are bunkers. And guess what else they store there, from what I've heard? Nukes. So, this one's harder to see, of course, because it's been weathered down over time and it used to be filled with water, but still on the back right side, we've got the Great Salt Lake. The third one is more pronounced and much easier to see, and on the back right side of it, you can see what's on the back right side of that, a giant ancient crater or caldera of some kind. And guess what's in the pinnacle tip of this one? Well, the other two were military bases, this one and this one. But in the pinnacle tip here is something far more strange. The Facebook and Apple data centers. See, Facebook and Apple. The Facebook and Apple data centers are in the middle of this one. And on the side of it, blown out on the back side, of course, again, it's indisputable. There's a giant crater on the right back side of that. And then next to it is this. The Hanford Nuclear Waste Storage Facility, Manhattan Project reactors, and so forth on the right side of this one. So right side of this one, nuke stuff, blown out back edge. Nuclear storage at the pinnacle tip of this one. What's on the right side of this one? The biggest open pit mines for copper and precious metals in the United States. Where they're quarrying the hell out of it. Okay? And then on this side, we have our nuke bombing range and Area 51. And on this side, we have Yucca Flats nuclear storage and military bombing range from the Marines. That's three of them. Each one's 300 miles long. Three ancient pinnacle star forts, if you want to call them that. But you can't call them that because they're hundreds of miles long. They're not for putting cannons on. Now, these shapes matter. This one in particular, because it's the most pronounced, because now I'm going to take you back down into Florida. Ambulance or not, distraction or not, here's our ancient city. Right back up in here, we've got it. It's right here. Boom, 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 boom. And then to seal the deal, this is on the inside, and this is on the edge. And next to it is the Y juncture that drew my eye to this whole thing to begin with, which is right here. And that's not satellite imagery. Again, that's straight line. Well, here, let me turn it back to north. There we go. That is a straight line through there, and it's raised. We go from 1 foot. It's a foot high. It's 1 foot higher. And we have other features in here that could be significant. They may be ancient weather. They're certainly square-like, and that is right on the edge of this thing. But this one is here. I'll confirm it right now. That is definitely there. And it definitely has the diamond shape on one side. Oh, wait, hold on. There's another. Facing the other way. Yep. All right. Wow. Wow. I'm just going to say it right now. We're dealing with something that is ancient. It is certainly symmetrical. It's spread out like a bastion fort would be, but the mileage on this, I'm just going to measure it from side to side to show it to you. We'll go all the way out here to the edge of it and go all the way into what could be the perimeter. I would call this the perimeter of it. But even if we don't go to the perimeter, we just go to the outside edge to outside edge here, we're talking about 10 miles across. Oh, wait, that's 10 miles exactly. Look at that. Look at that. From point to point across, it's 10 miles across it, from one edge to the other. And at the center, if we go edge to edge across this way, again, we're at 5 miles. Now, some of the names on the keys here are questionable. I'm not kidding. If you go look them up, you're going to find out that some of them are offensively named and named after sexual things. I'm not kidding. The actual names of them. I'm not going to look them up because I don't want to get my channel shut down. But a few of them are just references to things. And I think that's suspicious that would be done, especially when we're finding this kind of stuff here. So if I find a giant star fort like this in the swamps, and it's behind an ancient city that's submerged, that makes up a good part of the Florida Keys, and now you just can't miss it. Now, whenever you look at the Florida Keys now, or at least whenever I look at the Florida Keys, I'm always going to see this now. And it's not pareidolia. I've measured it for you. It is symmetrical. And right behind it is another thing you'd have to tell me is pareidolia. This. And you'd also have to tell me that this is pareidolia, and that this is pareidolia, and that it matches on the map is just chance. On the map from St. Louis of ancient bastion forts that I just so happen to have on file and on hand because of my other discovery that I made just in the past couple days about the structure here in St. Louis, which got me looking elsewhere, which is how I found this. But finding this, I would say, is much bigger, not just physically, but a big deal because it's a submerged city off the coast of Florida. No wonder people are saying they think it's Atlantis. I don't know the story of Atlantis, but at this point, all cards are on the table. I won't discount it at this. I won't mock you if you think so. I don't know what to say. I'd have to look into I'd have to look into the whole legend of it and try and figure it out myself. But I can tell you this, that's in a rectangle within a rectangle. Backing it out one more time. So whether you look at it north or south or north, we have the keys bordering it out to the edge where these are extending out to. And this matches with pretty much like everything you would see over in Europe when it comes to a bastion fort or a large city that spreads out. But this is so old. This is so old. Look, I'd also like to remind everybody that it's a well-known fact, or at least many people know this, that this didn't used to be as submerged as it is now. Same with the swamps. That more water has intruded into here in the past several hundred to thousand years, they say, since it's been discovered, quote unquote. So it's entirely possible that this could have been built on what we call beach or land, and that it's been submerged over the past 600, 800 years, or even longer. It could be older than that. It could be from ancient times. Ancient times. However long ago that is. Anyway, I stand by it. This is not chance or coincidence. This is not a natural shape. And I need to explain it, show it to everybody, just so you can understand what I'm talking about. That this is not natural. 3x5 exactly, spreading out exactly north, south, east, and west. It's centered north and south perfectly, first of all. That's bizarre. And then to have these like rays of the sun coming off in each direction, off each side. It's impossible to beat chance like that. Then to have an outer ring like that, no way. Chance ceases to be chance once you get right back up here and you find stuff like this. This, and this. And that it matches a map from 1700s in another part of the country, in St. Louis, which, let me get the higher resolution on here. Here's the high resolution version. And what I'm talking about is stuff like, for instance, this is what I thought it was at first, but now that I've seen the greater star fort structure, we have one within the other. Literally. This smaller one is within this bigger one. And the one next to it, questionable, but you got this inside of it. This centered perfectly north and south, a straight line through the woods, if you want to, through the swamp. That makes a Y juncture here, branches off this way. Looks like it goes down to something over here. I can't really quite tell. Looks like it's weathered, or maybe it branches off and goes further. Oh, it does. Hold on. Hold on. It sure does. It goes down and back up. Look close. It goes down. Let me bring this, following this as a trajectory. It is sunken, or it looks like there's a depression. But once you get down here, you can see the connecting line that comes in. It does. The connecting line on the south, you can actually see where it makes the juncture right here. That is. It's symmetrical. Now, mile-wise, this is huge. They may have even done this on purpose. Somebody might even know about this. This older imagery that's overlaid on here, but you should still, you still can see it in there. You can see this come down and go over at least as far as here. Coming back, it's hard to see. You can see 3/4 of this thing, at least. You can certainly see this side. The chances of having this shape with this shape inside is impossible statistically. To have this shape and that shape when we're talking about it out in California, 300 miles long, or when we're talking about it here in St. Louis. I'll show you the one out here at my house. Here's the one I found here in St. Louis by my house. That's a big deal to discover in its own right. A separate video I just put out yesterday. This matches this. But this is St. Louis. This is the one I found is a separate one. This is a different one. 8 miles long, 400 feet high, water flowing downhill. This is the looking into the Missouri River, this one here. I live right here at this lake. And so I could walk here. It's 3 miles. But anyway, this one is the one I found that's still there. The one in St. Louis, they've wiped off the map, and they're now building the Geospatial Agency inside of, in the middle of. But it's still there. Again, the streets still show it. And that is what is on the map here. And this is St. Louis north side. But to find one down in the swamps, to find it down submerged in the oceans, down here? Are you kidding me? Swamps? In the swamps. Yeah. Okay. And then that backs up straight down into this. They literally connect to each other. Wouldn't you call, if we turn it around this way, now we know what to look for, here it is, wouldn't you say this might even be tied to the structure itself? Like it may have come up to a pinnacle point here and go down this way. Let me bring it back due north. Or due south. So if we come through it and we go right through the center and go right down into it, we really do. I'm not joking. Here it is. Here's the pinnacle tip of it. And we have to adjust for the curvature of the earth over this vast of a distance. But here's the pinnacle tip of it. We just go right down through the center. I'm going to measure that just to show it to you. We'll go through the center of this. There, down. There we go. There it is. There it is. Perfect center. Can't be chance. Can't be chance. Not chance. That means this connects down. Hold on, let's do it. That means this connects down this way and down this way. It's partially washed out on one side. That is the same distance though. 5.6 miles and 5.6 miles, or 6 miles and 6 miles, either way. It is. That would mean there's something through here. If we know, now that we know what to look for, oh wait, I need to move that over ever so slightly. There we go. That's more like it. Okay, so it goes out 6 miles in one direction. Let's go out 6 miles in the other and see where it takes us. Oh wait. Oh wait, no, we're connecting into the other one here. Hold on. We are connecting into the other one here. It's not extending out that far. Got to remember that. We're connecting into the second one there that's a little harder to see, but it comes back up to a pinnacle, which then this would go over somewhere into here where they have the poor imagery on purpose. Look, they've even blurred it out and made it black. Look at that. And it's definitely, they did that. Look at the difference in satellite imagery. Yeah, not chance. Okay, that's not chance. Or it could be. I mean, it could be a satellite thing that they just didn't care and just overlaid it and they didn't know to look for it. Anyway, this one would come down and connect in. There'd be two of them there. And then that would have extended out further out this way to whatever's been obliterated out here by the weather. I don't know about what's out over here on the side, but it doesn't look like, again, it looks like there's something there now, but it looks like it's been destroyed by the weather over time, whatever this is. I stand by it. I found something huge, literally, physically speaking, and just mind-blowing wise, who had the ability to build 3-by-5 mile wide city forts in South Florida in the past several hundred years? And why would it not have been known about? Or if it was known, maybe it just got forgotten about. Maybe it got abandoned. Maybe the Spanish built it. They abandoned it. I don't know. It's amazing, though. Now, guess what? If you live down in Florida, I've got good news for you. Tourist. You know, I mean, this is a big discovery. It definitely is not natural. And you should probably be doing some flyovers. And people ask me if they could go out there. I don't know. I mean, I would suppose you could, but I think it would be pretty dangerous unless you know what you're doing. But these are the keys right here. And the water here is 5 feet deep, 6 feet deep, 10 feet deep. All the way across here, 1 foot deep, 2 foot deep, 3 feet deep, 0 foot deep at many of these spots. So it's really shallow, and then we get a little deeper here. We get 20 and 30 feet deep where it gets a little darker in there. But you can see it. It's really shallow through here, 1 and 2 feet deep at most spots as listed on Google. There are surface spots. It looks like, again, looks like you could walk it. Looks like you could walk it. How many miles is it from the Keys itself? Let's just measure over. 8 miles over to the east, and our nearest key is Plantation Key, Tavernier, Plantation Key, Windley Key, for instance, over here. Key Largo is the entrance to the Keys, North Key Largo. That's where you kind of drive in. Down to the south, Isla Morada is 8 miles as well. So it's 8 miles to the Keys in each direction from the edge of this thing for the most part. 6 miles at the closest point. How far is it this point? Again, 8 miles. 6 to 8 miles on the outside edge to each key. Really is. That's symmetrical. And that's another sign that this was made. Spanning out like the rays of the sun or a spider web or a bastion fort in here off the southern coast of Florida, backing up to what is obviously one here, and inside of it, this, which in St. Louis, they had water coming out of this thing, fresh water on the map. Water flowing out and going down a waterfall. I hope your mind is blown by what I'm showing you. I can't believe all this is down here. I can't believe I'm finding it all. If you guys didn't see what I found over the past couple days, it's just been like one thing after the other. I'm not bragging or anything. I'm equally as mind blown as you guys are with everything that's happening. Between the thing out in California, the Turkey earthquakes and so forth, but the thing in St. Louis that I found next to my house, the Giant Star Fort, this thing, and now this down in Florida. Now that I know what to look for, I think I'm going to be finding more, but it's not pareidolia. This is not seeing shapes, or it is not seeing faces in clouds, or talking to faces in rocks. This is actually measurable. You can repeat this. You can go look, and there is no way you'll ever convince me that that's natural. No one's ever going to convince me it's natural. No way. That thing was made. That huge fort down in Florida was made at some point in the past. It's going to be a huge tourist attraction, way more than the Coral Castle. Man, the flyovers on that. Oh, do you know how many people are going to want to go over and see that? Some people will call it Atlantis. I don't know. Again, I don't. That's getting a little hokey. It might be. I'm not trying to rip on you or anything. If you believe in that, I don't even know if Atlantis really existed. It's an ancient legend and so forth, but it's just an ancient bastion fort that's here. The biggest in the United States. It's miles across. And it's in 1 foot of water, and water's risen, so that was built on land at some point in the past. If water's risen a foot in the past 500 years, then that was built on land. They weren't pulling ships into there. That was 3 by 5 mile on land, maybe of sand or on a beachy type material. Coral made of coral, a few feet high. I don't know. It'd have to be pretty big for it to last this long through this many storms. It would have had to been huge originally, in my estimation. I don't think it would have been small for it to withstand hundreds and hundreds of years of hurricanes and so forth and still be there and still be remnant islands. Somebody built islands. We're not talking about the Chinese in modern times in the South China Sea. We're talking about somebody a long time ago building 8-mile long structures, 6 and 8 mile long walls. What are those, ancient walls? What do you want to call it? Are we looking at the top of an ancient city that's been buried or one that's been washed away? This is the most phenomenal thing. I cannot believe I found this. People in Florida are going to be mind blown when they find out there's an ancient city down at the south tip of Florida. That's 2 of them, actually, because there's the big one that connects into the Keys, the big rectangle with all the lines coming up. But then there's this one up in the Everglades or is that the Everglades? Well, just swamps of South Florida, the southern glades. Here's the Everglades National Park over here. So this is kind of just the glades out in the middle of nowhere. But you've got it. It's a confirmed shape there. It's not pareidolia because we've got this inside of it. So one inside of the other. That would be, I guess you would call that double pareidolia. It's like, did you see the face inside of the face? It's not seeing faces. Thank God we have other things to go on. And I'm not asking anybody to rewrite the history books either. All this would be an ancient bastion fort that was either built or forgotten about a long time ago. Well, it was obviously built a long time ago, but forgotten about a long time ago. I'm going to save this as a video. We're going to upload it to YouTube. Everybody can watch it back. If you're watching in the chat, I'm not looking for a bunch of yes men. Not looking for everybody to agree with me. I think what I think, and I'm standing by it, and I don't think anybody will convince me otherwise, but what do you think? Press 1 in the chat room if you agree with me that this is obviously something down in Florida, and that is obviously something up there in the swamps. If you agree with both things, press 1. If you don't agree, you can press 0. I'm not going to go off on you. People in chat won't go off on you, I don't think. You're welcome to disagree, but, I mean, why? Why do you disagree? Do you think it's just chance? All those things are chance? You'd have to think all those things are chance. The ones I showed you in California, the ones I showed you in St. Louis, the ones I just found down in Florida. You'd have to think all 3 of those are chance, and then there's 3 out on the West Coast. You'd have to think all 3 of those are chance. And you'd have to think all the military bases in the Facebook data center and the Apple data center in the center of each one is also chance. That's a lot of chance. I better go buy a lotto ticket if you think that I got that kind of luck. So, again, we just follow our noses where they lead, and we found a giant city down in Florida that's going to be a huge tourist attraction. That's going to be a big deal. If it's 8 miles from the Keys, you can ride out there on a jet ski. Well, actually, maybe not. If it's a foot deep, you probably have to row a kayak. Bring some water. Don't get swept away in the ocean. Watch out for sharks. What else? Jellyfish. Hey, just go with a professional. If you're going to go with a professional, man. Don't just try and wing it. I would not go on my own, that's for sure. 8 miles out into the ocean somewhere, even if it's 1 foot deep, I don't know. What if you get lost? You guys, be safe. But you can look stuff up online. You're just going to have to look for this kind of stuff. The ancient bastion fort shapes, nestled into old features that are weathered down and buried over time, that have been forgotten about by everybody, and show that a civilization that was here that has either been forgotten or never known about. I'd say this thing's old, way old, about as old as the one in St. Louis. The one by my house, thousands of years old. Because it's made of islands. It makes up the islands. It's, think about that. The islands border the edge of that thing. That means that was raised many, many feet up, and the islands have been weathered down over hundreds of years or thousands of years. People are saying it's a hidden past. Maybe somebody does know. To me, this doesn't look like anybody knows. If anybody knew, you would see videos online or something. At least no average Joe has found it. Nobody who does research on, ancient civilizations or any of those alternative online researchers you see on YouTube and on the Sci-Fi Channel and History Channel. None of them have found it, because you would have seen this in a TV show or the History Channel or something if somebody trying to cash in on it. Whew. Wow. A legit tourist attraction, I'll call that. I'd go see it. Did you see the ancient city that makes up all the North Keys of Florida? Wow. Okay, time to save. Go look for this on YouTube in just a few. Peace out.